I will never forget my 25th birthday. That was the day my family threw me out with nothing but a backpack and my grandfather Thomas's old toolbox. Growing up, my parents always favored my brother Jacob. When their financial problems got worse somehow, I became their scapegoat. 5 years later, I have built a successful furniture business and bought my dream home. Now those same family members who abandoned me are trying to claim my house as a family asset. Before I dive into how my own family betrayed me twice, let me know where you are watching from and hit that subscribe button if you have ever had someone try to take credit for your success. Growing up in Portland, Oregon was not easy for me. Our family always struggled financially, but we managed to get by until my brother Jacob developed a gambling habit in his late teens. My parents, Frank and Diana, never saw the problem, though. In their eyes, Jacob could do no wrong. The only person who truly believed in me was my grandfather Thomas. He was a master carpenter who taught me everything I knew about woodworking. On weekends and summer breaks, I would spend hours in his workshop, learning how to transform raw lumber into beautiful furniture. Those were the only times I felt truly valued. "Marion, you have a gift," Grandpa Thomas would say, guiding my hands as I learned to use his antique tools. "These tools have built 3 generations of family homes. Someday they will be yours to continue the legacy." As my 25th birthday approached, I had been meticulously developing a business plan for a custom furniture company. I had spreadsheets, market research, and even some potential clients lined up through connections I had made while working part-time at a local lumberyard. All I needed was a small loan to secure a workshop space and buy initial materials. My girlfriend Sophia was incredibly supportive of my dreams. We had been together for 3 years, and she believed in my talent more than anyone except my grandfather, who had passed away 6 months earlier. "Your family will see how much thought you have put into this," Sophia assured me the night before my birthday. "This could be a new beginning for all of you. Your business might even help solve their money problems eventually." I wanted to believe her. Despite the years of being overlooked in favor of Jacob, I still hoped for their approval. My parents had planned a birthday dinner at our family home, which seemed like the perfect opportunity to present my business proposal. I spent hours refining my presentation, printing copies of my business plan, and even creating digital mock-ups of furniture pieces I planned to create. "Tonight will be different," I told myself as I dressed for dinner. "They will finally see my potential." What I did not know was that Jacob had convinced my parents to put him in charge of the family finances 2 months earlier, claiming his business degree made him more qualified than my father. What I also did not know was that he had gambled away most of their savings, including the money my grandfather had left for me in his will. I arrived at my parents' house carrying my business plan and a bottle of Weinhardt full of hope and nervous anticipation. My mother greeted me with a distracted hug, immediately returning to a hushed conversation with my father in the kitchen. Jacob sat smugly at the dining table, scrolling through his phone. "Happy birthday, little brother," he said without looking up. "Got any big plans now that you are a quarter-century old?" "Actually, I do," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady with excitement. "I cannot wait to share them with everyone." The dinner was tense from the beginning. My mother kept changing the subject whenever I tried to bring up my business idea. My father seemed unusually quiet, avoiding eye contact. Only after the cake did I finally manage to present my plan. "I have been developing this business concept for custom furniture," I explained, sliding copies of my business plan across the table. "I have already sold a few pieces through word of mouth. With Grandpa Thomas's tools and a small loan for a workshop space, I could turn this into a real business." The silence that followed was deafening. Jacob was the first to speak, laughing as he pushed the papers away without even looking at them. "A furniture business? Really? That is your big plan? Playing with wood like Grandpa?" My parents exchanged uncomfortable glances. My mother cleared her throat. "Honey, that sounds like a hobby, not a career. Besides, we do not have money for loans right now, but I only need $10,000 to start. I can pay you back within a year once orders start coming in. And Grandpa left me money in his will specifically for this." Jacob's face darkened. "About that money, there have been some changes to the family finances." What followed was the most devastating conversation of my life. Jacob had convinced my parents to give him access to all family accounts to consolidate and invest their money. Instead, he had gambled away nearly everything, including my inheritance. You did what I stood up, knocking my chair backward. That money was specifically left to me. We had family debts to pay, Jacob shouted back. Not everyone can afford to chase childish dreams. My father finally spoke up, but not in my defense. Marion, you need to understand that family comes first. Jacob was trying to solve problems for all of us. By gambling away my inheritance? How does that help anyone? My mother started crying, which only made me feel worse. Why are you always so selfish, Marion? We are on the verge of losing the house, and all you care about is your furniture fantasy. The argument escalated quickly. Jacob accused me of not understanding family loyalty. My parents said I was being unreasonable. When I pointed out that Jacob's gambling had created these problems in the first place, they acted as if I had slapped them. Then came the final blow. Those tools are family property, Jacob declared, pointing to my grandfather's toolbox that I had brought to show them my latest project. We need to sell them to cover the second mortgage. Grandpa gave those tools to me, I said, my voice breaking. They are all I have left of him. He gave them to the family, my father corrected. And right now the family needs money more than you need to play carpenter. I could not believe what I was hearing. I am not giving up these tools. They are mine. Grandpa wanted me to have them. Jacob stood up, towering over me. Then you can take the tools and get out. If you are not going to help this family in a crisis, you are not part of it. I looked at my parents, waiting for them to contradict him. They did not. So that is it. You kick me out on my birthday because I will not let you sell. The only thing my grandfather left me. My mother looked away. My father stared at his hands. Jacob opened the front door. Your choice. Leave the tools or leave the house. We need team players right now, not dreamers. I picked up my grandfather's toolbox and walked toward the door. My backpack was still by the entrance from when I had arrived. Jacob grabbed my arm as I passed. You will regret this, he hissed. No one succeeds without family backing. I shook him off. Watch me. As the door slammed behind me, the rain started falling. I stood on the sidewalk, 25 years old, homeless, with nothing but a backpack and a toolbox. I called Sophia from a street corner, rain soaking through my jacket. She picked up on the third ring, her voice sleepy and confused. When I explained what happened, she immediately offered her parents' garage as temporary shelter. Just for a few days, her father said when I arrived, dripping wet on their doorstep. We cannot get involved in family disputes. I spent that night organizing my grandfather's tools, running my fingers over the worn wooden handles he had polished with decades of use. Each chisel, plane, and saw represented not just monetary value, but the legacy of craftsmanship he had entrusted to me. I fell asleep on an old couch in the garage, surrounded by these treasures, determined not to let my family's betrayal destroy my dreams. The next morning brought another shock. Sophia arrived in the garage, looking uncomfortable, avoiding my eyes. Marion, we need to talk, she said, sitting on the far end of the couch. Your brother called me last night. My stomach dropped. What did he want? He explained your family's financial situation. He said you refused to help them save their house by being stubborn about some old tools. That is not what happened. I started, but she raised her hand. He also mentioned that I have been helping your parents with grocery money for the past year. This was news to me. You have been giving my parents money. Why would you do that without telling me? Jacob asked me not to tell you because of your pride. He said you would be upset knowing they needed help. I felt like I had been punched. Not only had my girlfriend been secretly supporting my family, but she had been manipulated by Jacob into doing so. Sophia, Jacob gambled away their money. He took my inheritance. Those tools are rightfully mine, and they are my only chance at starting my business. She stood up, crossing her arms. I think you should reconsider your priorities. Family should come first. My parents agree. They think you are being selfish. 3 days later, Sophia broke up with me. A week after that, her parents asked me to leave the garage. I spent the next month sleeping in my car, working double shifts at the lumber yard, and taking night shifts at a 24-hour diner. I showered at the gym and stored my tools in a small storage unit I could barely afford. During this time, I reached out to my parents twice. Both times they told me I could only come home if I surrendered the tools. Both times I refused. A former coworker named Anthony eventually offered me space in his garage to start building furniture. My first commission came through his sister, who needed a coffee table. I worked nights and weekends using my grandfather's tools to create something beautiful from reclaimed wood. "This is incredible," she said when I delivered it. "My friends will want to know who made this." She was right. Within 2 weeks, I had 3 more commissions. I continued working my regular jobs, building furniture in every spare moment. After 3 months of saving every penny, I rented a tiny apartment above a hardware store owned by a man named Mr. Wilson. "I see you carrying those tools up and down the stairs," he said one day. "My store needs some custom shelving. Trade you for 2 months' rent." That arrangement gave me breathing room to quit the diner job and focus more on furniture. Mr. Wilson also let me use space behind the store for larger projects. He became something of a mentor, teaching me about running a business the way my grandfather had taught me about woodworking. "Your craftsmanship is outstanding," he told me after I completed the store shelving. "But craftsmanship alone does not build a business. You need to market yourself." With his encouragement, I created social media accounts, showcasing my work. I took night classes at the community college on business management. I worked 18-hour days, pouring every ounce of energy into building something from nothing. Nearly a year after being thrown out, I met Lisa, an established furniture designer who came into the hardware store. She noticed my shelving work and asked who had built it. "I have clients who would pay premium prices for this level of craftsmanship," she said, after seeing photos of my other pieces. "Would you consider building pieces I design?" This partnership opened doors to high-end clients I could never have accessed on my own. Lisa's reputation combined with my craftsmanship created a powerful combination. Our first collaborative commission came from a tech entrepreneur named Ryan, who wanted custom office furniture for his startup. "This is not just furniture," Ryan said when we installed the pieces. "This is functional art." Ryan became more than a client. He saw potential in my business and offered advice on scaling up. Eventually, he even invested in my company, allowing me to lease a small workshop and hire my first employee, Taylor, a recently graduated design student who shared my passion for sustainable materials. 3 years after being kicked out, my business was thriving. I had 5 employees, a proper workshop, and a waiting list of clients. I had not spoken to my family since those first few attempts at reconciliation, though I occasionally heard updates through mutual acquaintances. My parents still lived in the same house, apparently saved from foreclosure somehow. Jacob had moved to another state after a business opportunity. No one mentioned my name or success, according to friends who still saw them. With the business stable and growing, I started looking for a permanent home. I found a foreclosed craftsman house with a detached garage, perfect for a home workshop. The house needed extensive renovation, but I could see its potential beneath the neglect. Using my savings and a business loan, I purchased it and spent every weekend for 6 months, restoring it by hand. Every door cabinet and piece of trim in that house passed through my hands. I refinished the original hardwood floors, rebuilt the staircase, using traditional joinery techniques, and crafted built-in furniture that showcased my best work. The home became not just my residence, but a showroom for potential clients. During the renovation, I met my neighbor Allison, who brought over homemade cookies one day when she saw me working late. Unlike Sophia, she admired my independence and determination from the start. "You built all this yourself?" she asked, walking through the partially renovated rooms. "That is incredible, Marian." Allison became a friend then more. She understood my past without judging, and supported my future without trying to change it. With her encouragement, I converted the garage into a proper showroom, which led to a feature in a national design magazine. 4 years after being thrown out of my family home, I had created a new home, a successful business, and found someone who truly valued me for who I was. The wounds of betrayal had begun to heal, replaced by pride in what I had accomplished on my own terms. I thought the worst was behind me. I was wrong. The bell above my workshop door chimed one Tuesday afternoon. I looked up from the dining table I was finishing to see a face I had not seen in over 4 years, my brother Jacob. He looked different, thinner with dark circles under his eyes and cheaper clothes than he used to wear. He stood awkwardly in the doorway, hands in his pockets. "Hello, Marian," he said quietly. "Nice place you have here." I set down my sanding block slowly. "What are you doing here, Jacob?" I came to apologize, he said, taking a tentative step forward. I have been getting help for my gambling. Part of recovery is making amends. I had imagined this moment many times over the years, but now that it was happening, I felt nothing but caution. That is good to hear. I am glad you are getting help. I have been sober for 8 months, he continued. No gambling. Working a regular job. Trying to turn things around. He paused, looking around the workshop. You have done well for yourself. No thanks to you, I replied, unable to keep the edge from my voice. I know, he said, hanging his head. That is why I am here. I want to try to make things right between us. Between you and Mom and Dad, too. They miss you. I am not sure that is possible, I said finally. Could we at least try? Maybe start with coffee. Just you and me. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop the following day. Our conversation was strained, but civil. He talked about his recovery program and his new job as an insurance adjuster. I spoke vaguely about my business. Neither of us mentioned our parents or the past. After 3 such meetings, Jacob asked to see my home and workshop. Again, caution warred with a desire for reconciliation. Just a quick tour, I said. I have a client coming later. Thank you, Marion. This means a lot. The day of the visit, I was surprised when Jacob arrived with our parents. They stood nervously on my porch, my mother clutching her purse, my father staring at his shoes. I hope you do not mind, Jacob said. They really wanted to see you. I should have turned them away. Instead, I let them in, watching their reactions, as they saw what I had built without them. This is all yours, my mother asked, running her hand along a custom bookshelf. It is beautiful. You did all this renovation yourself? My father asked, examining the craftsmanship of the staircase. Every piece, I confirmed, a small part of me pleased at their obvious amazement. The family talent did not skip a generation after all, my father said, an awkward attempt at a compliment. As we moved through the house, I noticed Jacob taking photos with his phone. When I questioned him, he claimed he was just documenting the beautiful work to show friends. I also noticed my parents exchanging significant glances and making odd comments about family investments paying off and knowing you had it in you. The visit ended without incident, though I felt uneasy afterward. I mentioned it to Allison that evening. Something felt off, I told her. Like they were evaluating the place, rather than admiring it. Trust your instincts, she said. You know them better than anyone. A week later, a courier delivered an envelope containing legal documents. My family was claiming 30% ownership of my house and business based on the assertion that my grandfather's tools were family property that formed the foundation of the enterprise. They further claimed that their emotional investment in me entitled them to a share of my success. Attached was a document I had never seen before, apparently a modification to my grandfather's will, stating that his tools were meant for family use rather than my personal ownership. The signature looked wrong, subtly different from the cards and letters my grandfather had sent me. I called my lawyer immediately, then sat down at my kitchen table, hands shaking, as I read through their outrageous claims. A separate letter from Jacob explained that the family was facing bankruptcy due to unfortunate investments and needed my contribution to save them once again. The betrayal hit me even harder than the first time. Not only were they trying to steal what I had built, but they had manipulated my grandfather's last wishes to do it. That night, I broke down in Allison's arms. Maybe I should just give them something to make this go away, I said, exhausted by the thought of a legal battle. I could afford to help them. No, Allison said firmly. This is not about money. This is about them refusing to respect you or what you have accomplished. If you give in now, they will never stop taking. The next day, Mr. Wilson stopped by after hearing about the situation. Your grandfather was my friend for 30 years, he said. He gave those tools to you, not the family. He told me so himself. They have some document saying otherwise, I replied. Then it is a forgery, he said bluntly. Thomas knew exactly what your family was like. Why do you think he taught you woodworking away from their house? Why do you think he gave you those tools directly, not through your parents? His words struck home. My grandfather had always protected me from my family's dysfunction. He would not have wanted his legacy used to hurt me. What should I do? I asked. Fight, Mr. Wilson said simply. Fight with everything you have. I hired Barbara, an attorney who specialized in family business disputes. She was confident, but straightforward. They have no case, she said after reviewing the documents. But that does not mean they cannot make trouble. We need to be aggressive. Our first step was examining the altered will. Barbara brought in a handwriting expert, who quickly identified the signature as a probable forgery. Next, we gathered evidence of my independent business development, including statements from early clients' records of my homeless period and testimony from Mr. Wilson about my grandfather's clear intentions. The most damning evidence came from an unexpected source. While cleaning my grandfather's old toolbox, I found a hidden compartment containing a small voice recorder and a letter addressed to me. Marion, the letter read, "If you are reading this, I am gone and you have likely discovered what your family is truly capable of. I have recorded conversations with your father and Jacob about their financial troubles and their plans to use my savings and tools once I am gone. I wanted you to have proof if you ever needed it. Build something beautiful with these tools, something that is truly yours, with love and faith in you, Grandpa Thomas." The recordings clearly captured my father and Jacob discussing how to manipulate my grandfather's assets, with Jacob suggesting they could always claim family ownership later if I ever made something of myself. Armed with this evidence, Barbara filed a countersuit for harassment and attempted fraud. We also requested a restraining order to prevent my family from contacting me or my business. The court hearing was scheduled for 3 months later. During that time, my family attempted to contact me, repeatedly alternating between threats and pleas. Jacob even showed up at my workshop once, claiming he wanted to work something out brother to brother. My newly installed security system recorded him attempting to enter after hours the same night. When the day of the hearing arrived, I was nervous but resolved. Allison, Mr. Wilson, and several employees came to support me. My family arrived looking confident, having hired an expensive attorney from a large firm. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes, listened carefully as both sides presented their cases. My family's lawyer argued passionately about family assets and shared heritage. Barbara methodically dismantled each claim with evidence culminating in the playing of my grandfather's recordings. The courtroom fell silent as my father's and Jacob's voices filled the room coldly, discussing how to manipulate an old man's assets. My mother gasped. Jacob stared at the floor. My father's face turned red. The judge's ruling was unequivocal. She not only dismissed my family's claim entirely, but issued a stern warning about filing fraudulent lawsuits. She suggested that criminal charges for attempted fraud and forgery could be pursued if I wished. "Your Honor," I said, when asked if I wanted to press charges, "I just want this to end. I want to build furniture, not court cases." The judge nodded. "A wise choice, Mr. Marion. But I am ordering the defendants to issue a public retraction of their claims and to maintain no contact without your explicit permission. Violation will result in significant penalties." Outside the courthouse, I approached my family one last time. "I am willing to help you financially one time only if you agree to get Jacob proper treatment for his gambling and financial counseling for yourselves." My mother started to speak, but my father cut her off. "We do not need your charity," he snapped, though his voice lacked conviction. Jacob would not meet my eyes. "This is not over," he muttered, as they turned to leave. "Yes, it is," I replied. "It was over the night you threw me out. You just did not know it yet." As they walked away, I felt a weight lift that I had been carrying for 5 years. I had faced my past and protected my future. Whatever happened to them now was their choice, not my responsibility. 5 years after being thrown out on my birthday, I have built more than just furniture. I have built a life defined by my own values, rather than my family's dysfunction. My business now employs 15 people, including 3 apprentices from difficult backgrounds. I created a foundation that provides vocational training for young people aging out of foster care, teaching them the skills my grandfather taught me. Allison and I got married last year in our backyard, surrounded by friends who became the family we chose, rather than the one I was born into. Mr. Point. Wilson was my best man, proudly wearing my grandfather's tie clip that I had found in another hidden compartment of the toolbox. The legal battle with my family became a footnote rather than a defining moment. I occasionally hear about them through mutual acquaintances. My father retired early due to health problems. My mother volunteers at their church. Jacob moved back home after another failed venture. They never reached out again after the court case, and I have made peace with that reality. The greatest lesson I learned through all of this is that your worth is not determined by those who should love you, but fail to. It is determined by what you build with your own hands, both literally and figuratively. Success truly is the best response to betrayal. My grandfather's tools still hang in my workshop alongside new ones acquired over years of growth. Each piece of furniture that leaves my shop carries a small, inlaid wood signature piece made from a slice of my grandfather's original workbench. A legacy continued not through blood, but through craft and character. Sometimes the most beautiful creations require removing toxic elements first. Like furniture making, life often requires cutting away what does not serve the final vision. The scars and knots remain part of the story, but they do not determine the beauty of the finished piece. Have you ever had to rebuild your life after someone tried to take credit for your success? Share your story in the comments below. And if this journey of overcoming family betrayal resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories of resilience and redemption. Remember, the family you choose can be stronger than the family you were given. Thank you for listening to my story, and may you build something beautiful with whatever tools life has given you.